one of these Monstro spawns. So it does mean that you do have that information trickling in, and maybe you can make some counter rotations from the 3-2-1 that you know is going to be coming your way, or at least waylay potentially one member of that dive to have them arrive a little bit later, and maybe that's enough damage that's missing for your divee to survive.
Yeah, and we've actually seen Jeff sometimes picked up for that reason, so that you can counter-rotate a dive even if you don't have dive components. For that, you have to better enable on your team itself, as there's going to be Burn and T'Challa coming on through. And yeah, there goes the jab from either side. Insomnia do get the opportunity of saving before Na'Vi, so if they want to go for a Mantis, they potentially could go for it here. And indeed, it is going to be the Mantis, which now means that Na'Vi has to worry about things like the Venom getting that damage amp unparalleled on their side.
Likely going to force Na'Vi to match when it comes to the Mantis here. But given how much Na'Vi do actually value the Mantis team up, we might see a ban on the Loki as well from both of these rosters.
Ultron is also going to be removed from the side of Insomnia. So as we've talked about, Twitzy, known to play things like that Human Torch. They don't want to have an Ultron pocketing it, but we still get the opportunity to see a Star-Lord. It's not going to be Ultron from either of these teams, though, as we've still got Venom in the mix, and we've still got Adam in the mix as well. I say that, we don't have it for Na'Vi anymore. So Na'Vi don't get the opportunity of utilizing that Soulbind within the first fight, but they do remove the Invisible Woman, which now means that Insomnia, if they try and go for something like a dive angle, have to worry about the Force Physics grabbing their Venom back through.
Okay, that Force Physics really is something that needs to be considered in every single dive for the Venom. The Star-Lord taken away. Okay, trying to remove the teeth of Na'Vi, although allowing them a lot of free reign for the backline here to play either the Loki or potentially bring out the Luna as well.
I mean, if you have one-sided invis, having that Guardian Shield dagger as well as damage boost to apply on your Star-Lord just gives too much control and confidence for that Star-Lord to continuously go in and keep pressuring your team with very little you can actually do to be able to punish him. As Insomnia are going to be able to guarantee that they get one-sided Adam, however, Na'Vi are going to be able to remove the Emma away, so Na'Vi getting really good dive components. They don't have to worry about Force Physics CC, they don't have to worry about Emma CC. Also, if Insomnia gets swept off of the point, they don't have Sonic Seduction to make an immediate play to grab all of that space and situate themselves on the objective, forcing Na'Vi to have to react.
Hold up, trust me, hovering before to start with. Someone's been watching my ranked VODs. I knew that I'd inspire them. But we'll see if it's real when they actually roll out here. But it wouldn't surprise me to see, with the amount of healing that's available from both an Invisible Woman and a Luna, for there to be a pivot here from the side of Na'Vi towards a 2-2-2.
Yeah, I mean, we might actually even get to see the Strange and the Magic as well, so that you can send your Magic with that dive and lock the two strategists together with the new team-up coming on through. And then that's going to mean that if you combine that with the Venom's Corrosive Tether, so that he can keep everybody on top of each other, and if they try and run away, they get even further slowed, you're in with a real rough time of having to peel your backline.
Yeah, that is that is a monumental task, peeling that backline against such aggression. In T'Challa, ready to open up the doors. We are going to be beginning on the Warrior Force, and the Thor is real, baby. Oh, trust me, I always believed. And the Magic as well. Wait, Na'Vi are bringing out an entirely new look.
Yeah, Naga's going to be on that Phoenix trying to play these off angles. Has Fade on the Invis Woman too, but at the moment it's not an off angle. It's just straight up spam into main. Everyone from Insomnia stacks on top of each other so they can all receive the benefit of that Soulbind, which means that Naga is already 30% to his ult.
Oh, melee DPS coming out there from the Duelist. Up close and personal, the Phoenix certainly is difficult. Look at this, just the continuous displacement of the Magneto from the Thor. Very difficult to try and deal with up close. It's going to be dealing a lot of damage, but it seems like for now, the evasiveness of the Star-Lord has won out the day. Twitzy managed to get in behind Rajaro's shield, found the kink in the armor, and managed to just dig in the crowbar there and just grab it open.
Yeah, Relaxing Sky was able to do so much on that Luna as well, with how stacked everyone was playing. Is already 90% to the first fate of both wards, plus getting to play the Luna means that Idle Aura is on Twitzy, on the Star-Lord, so he can scout out Na'Vi's rotations, call out where the magic is going to be, and everyone from Insomnia can react before the dive's on top of them.
Nocta's almost already got the Karmic Revival as well, so there's going to be two phases to this fight. Nocta has to play in a safer position though, and Naga's trying to shut it down already. A quick sedation coming over from the Mantis shuts down the tirade of terror that Naga was willing to unleash upon along that back line. The God of Thunder rolls out once more as the Galactic Legend is written in the stars of the intergalactic empire of Wakanda. Nocta with 1 res, 2 res, and a flip on their own side as well, taking out Naga in the back line. Trust me, tried to get rid of the Atom themselves, but already the Karmic Revival is over, and so too is the fight. A big investment in the form of the Feast of the Abyss takes out the level 1 Crook, and Fate has fallen too.
Forever's got the Meteor Am as well to use the CC immunity against the Eye of Agamotto coming on through from Navi's side. And Insomnia are still able to retain that point. The Karmic Revival getting to catch as well with the Solar Resurgence on the objective, so they didn't even need to give it up. As Navi are changing things around. Fate moves over to the Loki for the damage boost alongside that Mantis, plus having the regeneration domain to survive the one-shot capabilities of the Mag Ultimate in this next fight.
Now, Meteor Ram's going to be the one to watch, potentially. The constant rising of the shield of the Seraphim could be everything, as already you can see the usage of a Dark Child is doing so much to the backline. Spreading out the damage from the Soul Bond has worked well to give a little bit of additional survivability over to that backline. Pasiwo, though, found themselves about healing while everyone was focused in on themselves. The strategists had to continue thinking about number 1, and, well, that's going to be number 1% for Na'Vi as they cap.
That was damage boosted Dark Child as well for Jerky, able to force out the Soul Bind too from Insomnia, so it's not going to be up for this next Karmic Revival coming on through as a cast. Trust Me too is going to be able to figure out where Insomnia are rotating. If it's a play for the high ground to have a better position for that res, they have to bully the 4 out of his position first.
Damage boosted Thor, going to be a heck of a duelist to try and deal with. Nocta instantly healed back up to full, but Forever and Twitzy have already fallen through the cracks despite the healing offered by the Luna. Relaxing Sky going to try and chase down Naga here, and a quick resurrection from Nocta brings Forever and Twitzy back into the fray. Waited as long as possible to make sure that anyone else who fell would be grabbed off the back of this. Galactic Legend takes to the skies, and Eye of Agamotto stuns up 3, and the Dark Maelstrom just destroys, tears through the approach of Insomnia.
Insomnia were looking to the Galactic Legend to open up the space for them to walk after that Karmic Revival, and Na'Vi understood that they won't be able to hit the Star-Lord, but they can hit the entire rest of the team, and Insomnia go down in one fell swoop. Na'Vi still holding on to that space, going to be able to figure out that Insomnia are rotating back up to that high ground, which means more spam pressure for Naga on that Phoenix, who's getting so many stuns onto these players.
Up close and personal with the Blaster Barrage. That forces out the bubble from the Magneto to try and survive it, but now it's time for Na'Vi to clap on back. They roll forward into the Soul Bond, already having been used, but the Resurgence is coming through as well. As a quick damage boost onto themselves here from Line Pro. Easy spores generated off the back of those Loki clones, by the way. Each headshot gives yet another to try and work with for the Mantis. Naga wraps around the back. Sky and Pro are down, but now it's down to Twitzy to try and turn this one around once more, and Nocta doesn't have a resurrection to bring anyone back, so it's just the healing of the live stream to try and sustain them. Na'Vi move towards Twitzy. A 3, 2, 1, a smash and a grab here, and they've grabbed away the Warrior. Falls. Dark Child reigns over it all, perhaps unnecessary, but it's going to be offered some value here, as there's going to be a portal opened up, and straight away the victimhood is noted. Jerky sacrifices themselves to stop a recontest. A salute an 07 in the chat, as we'll remember the sacrifice made by the Dark Child.
Melee damage goes for Strange Shield. Insomnia managed to find the timing for the portal, but the Strange falls too quickly for anybody else to chain into the contest in overtime. And that was big, actually, because Password had Freedom Charge. If the Captain America had come back in, Insomnia would actually have been able to cushion themselves with all of that health and stall out the fight long enough to go into the chain cycle of Res, into Lunar Ultimate, into Mantis Ultimate, and out-sustain Na'Vi's team.
Top 3 backlines your ranked teammates will flame you for. Loki Mantis. Seems to be working out here well, though, for the side of Na'Vi.
I mean, look at the assists. Level 1 Crook's already on 20, and that was the first round!
Quite the number of assists. Level 1 Crook, I believe, also started off on the Invis Woman rather than the Mantis, and we actually had a fully fledged backline swap from both Fate and Level 1 Crook. Going to be a portal play to open up.
Insomnia do have ultimates, though, as they carry through into this next round, which is big for them. Nocta is going to be so close to that Karmic Revival, and that's why Na'Vi are going to instantly take themselves onto the high ground to prevent any sort of space collected for that Adam to res plays close to the objective and keep that out of Na'Vi's hands.
Opening frag coming through from the Thor, as we'd expect from the God of Thunder himself. Oh, the chains of Sidetrack have been used here. And Pasuo can't bring up the shield to help themselves against the Eye of Agamotto. Easily burst through body and soul, racked by dark magic. Line Pro descends to the ground and is put 6 feet more so under.
Yeah, and it's all finished so quickly that Nocta doesn't get the opportunity to build up that karmic, which means that when he goes down, he's not going to use the self-cocoon, and Na'Vi don't have to fight their way through all of that sustain from Insomnia's side. Res fight into Lunar Ultimate. They now control all of that spacing, which means that they can tax the approach before the fight even moves on to the objective.
Twitzy, Galactic Legend, could be everything here, but Level 1 Crook already has the ingredients to try and deal with it. Trust me, knocked around in midair. Great Mag Cannon coming through from Forever. Twitzy's looking for that backline. Forces out the first. Regeneration domain has been used, but it's been buoyed as well by the Soul Resurgence. That's an overuse here from Na'Vi, potentially. The second phase of the fight could be difficult to deal with, but taking down Relaxing Sky is a good opening. Calm Revival going to be used. Insomnia bring out their own master stroke of tools to try and turn this one around. Forever looks towards the back. Instead of going for a squishy target, goes for the more brawny ones. And, well, the brawn is going to be turned upon them as Level 1 Crook rolls forward behind, trust me. And a terrible twosome tears through Insomnia.
Oh my goodness, that Eye of Agamotto just entirely shut down any of the reses coming on through from Nocta's side. Now we're going to see a comp swap come through too. Forever's onto the Groot to try and find these isolations, given the fact that Na'Vi are playing incredibly aggressively forward. It's also going to put more pressure onto Fate's LOS on that Loki. As Twitzy moves over to the Torch to try and use the spam pressure of pushing Na'Vi back so Insomnia can at least walk up a little bit more for free.
Darkchild, unleashed by Jerky, in towards the back. Oh, the freeze is beautiful for Relaxing Sky. Why don't you chill out, Darkchild? Starting to turn down the temperature a touch inside of the regeneration domain. So a safety here for Na'Vi, even down on Jerky, but no resurrection options are going to be available for this. This is a turnaround here from Twitzy. Wants for 1v1 with the Phoenix, but has to direct their attention elsewhere. 2 stuns come through, both on Strategist. Rajaro easily able to convert onto Nocta. Relaxing Sky gets away with it for now, but it's going to be a surround onto Pasuo and a quick turnaround. There's no touch that's available. Na'Vi with the Magic Thor duo get it done on Burning T'Challa.
Yeah, Twitzy on that Human Torch is above the Eye of Agamotto, but unfortunately it catches too many crucial players. And those Eye of Agamottos were just absolutely lethal. Rajaro walks away with the MVP, deservedly so, because a lot of those ultimates and plays were set up by the Doctor Strange and that magic. Jerky getting to come on through. 5 final hits, 13,000 damage, but crucially only going down 4 total times as a magic player into things like a Mantis and an Adam. Goes to show how good Navi's rotations were, making sure that they didn't get scouted before they were ready for those commitments, and when they did commit, they had enough attention elsewhere that their magic only got picked one proper time when Jerky fully committed with the Darkchild on that second map.
Dude, that was unreal. The quick pop-up with the Eye of Agamotto, then the shield pivot to block the Meteor M as well. Oh, like you said, Rajaro had such a map. Relaxing Tide couldn't quite commit. Oh, and blocks for Sedation as well. Bro's crazy. Rajaro is so on it right now. Homie's in the Matrix and sees all the cooldowns.
I mean, Doctor Strange is still incredibly strong. He sort of got pushed a little bit out of meta because of Emma coming on through, where he literally just got bullied. Emma basically said, hey, give me your lunch money and your ultimate charge, and just made away like an absolute bandit every single time. But Emma wasn't in play that round, so there's nothing punishing the Doctor Strange wanting to look for things like the shield to stop the ultimates and looking for those Eye of Agamottos incredibly aggressively, because either it finds the stun or it forces the cooldown, which is great news for Na'Vi, because they have to really just chain themselves in for a long fight if we get to see all of those resources coming on through from the side of Insomnia.
Yeah, speaking of chains, it enables the chains of Cyterac for the magic as well, which is a super valuable team up, but we'll see if it comes through more on our next map right after this break. Ooh, the smell of innovation on the air as a brand new composition gets shown off by Na'Vi with both the Thor, the Magic, and the Doctor Strange. The chains of Cyttorak have thoroughly bound Insomnia on being in T'Challa, but they have a chance to break free with their own map pick for number 2.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit before the first map, the fact that Insomnia have struggled historically against the dive components. So I think Na'Vi went into this understanding that they wanted to play the tempo of dive, but they didn't want to go for something that they'd previously shown, because obviously if they showed it in the group stages, Insomnia knew that they were going to be going head-to-head against Na'Vi because the bracket had already been published. It's not like you're waiting to see who your opponent is off of another fight and match needing to be finished. So likely went and counter-stratted, looked at the ban phases, looked at the timings, looked at the very specific compositions and weaknesses that it has, and then didn't really expect the Thor and Doctor Strange and Magic timings, as we got to see a couple of different hero swaps coming on through in that second map where you could kind of tell. They were like, okay, this normally deals with dive. Let's try this. Maybe if, you know, they're overextending, we can use the Groot to be able to find some of those isolations and keep lengthening out those fights so that we can separate and split the dive, that together combined they don't have the damage to instantly find an elimination onto us, and we can try and build with a triple strategist in more sustained fight, which would be for an advantage. And that unfortunately just doesn't really work out into things like the Doctor Strange and the Magic, because that's actually a lot of sustainability. It's dive tempo when you're taking your engagements, but you have so much to sustain with your Vanguard line that you can still play Brawl.
One of the things that's really good about playing the Magic, Doctor Strange, and Thor together is that they're all countered by Emma. So you get a lot of value off of that one Emma Frost ban, because Doctor Strange, like we saw him fall out of vogue, because Carbon Crush going through shields means that, like, Bro could just be standing there, not, like, he's nonplussed, he's defending himself, a Shield of a Seraphim is up, and suddenly he's over in Nani. He's been kicked into half HP, and the remainder of the team have been able to just burst him down while he's been CC'd as well. And Magic also feels the same fear of the Carbon Crush. And when you show off this composition, and you know that it's available, it might force something like a Emma Protect from a team that we saw like Citadel use earlier. But for Insomnia, are you comfortable doing that in your draft?
I feel like you would rather get kicked into Narnia than where you actually go up against the Emma. You're getting kicked into the back of the wardrobe and taking amplified damage.
Mr. Thomas says hello.
That collision.
Sends his regards.
Insomnia, though, decide to take us over to Hall of Djalia, a convergence map. We will still have to play Convoy regardless of how these maps go, as they're going to be banning out that Mantis so that Na'Vi don't get those damage boosts to be able to come on through, which does mean that if Na'Vi want to go for a hit, yeah, indeed, Fader's going to be able to have his hero, the Jeff, coming on through. And this is what we talked about, right? Rock and a hard place. When you let Na'Vi get the first save, if you ban the Mantis, they save the Jeff. If you ban the Jeff, they save the Mantis.
All right, coming up, gonna be the Protect here for Insomnia. It's gonna be the one-sided Ultron once more on Hall of Djalia, so this may force out a ban on either Star-Lord or the Human Torch from Na'Vi, just to make sure that pocket doesn't get quite as much value.
It weakens dive as well, so that Na'Vi can't just play the Jeff and the Ultron and go for hyper-aggressive run at Insomnia's defense. When it comes to that dive component, as we can see, the Mantis is getting banned as Insomnia went for the priority of the Ultron save rather than the Mantis. So no one's going to be getting that neutral damage boost. If we do see a damage boost come through, it's going to be off of something like a Luna's Ultimate being synced with a Venom's Feast or potential Phoenix's End Song, as it's now going to be the synced bans. Venom gets taken away from Na'Vi, and Invis gets taken away from Insomnia. So Na'Vi are definitely looking for dive, as well as to weaken anything that this Ultron is going to be wanting to pocket. Something like, say, that Star-Lord that Twitzy has started leaning into. But it does come at the cost of Na'Vi losing access to the Venom symbiotic shenanigans with their Jeff.
Yeah, and access to that backline as well. Venom's dive, like soft dives here. I think that someone pointed out to me that Passio has some of the greatest soft dives here on Hall of Djalia when it comes to being able to go in, force resources, and get out essentially scot-free without really taxing their strategists either. It's going to be a fully strategist-coded ban line here coming through from Na'Vi as they get their last Protect in.
So Adam's save comes through from Na'Vi, so they're going to have a lot of long-term sustainability if it is a dive angle, plus against the Ultron Adam being able to have hit scan in his kit to keep a check on any flying component up in the sky, whether or not Insomnia do decide to use the Ultron to pocket a Phoenix, or potentially a Torch or Star-Lord, as neither have been banned. And I like this, actually, because I was going to say, this is the problem when you ban the Venom. Yes, the Venom is not going to be able to have the team up with the Jeff. And yes, you lose the opportunity to go for those Venom in and out soft dives with the mobility that comes with this Vanguard. But Captain America can still be just as much a problem for your backline to have to deal with, and worse, because Cap can be disruption rather than soft. He can stay in for longer alone. So it does come at the cost of having to burn 2 ban slots on a Vanguard, which means that Navi's duelist lineup and strategist lineup is looking a little bit stronger in terms of options to choose from, but it does mean that Insomnia don't have to worry as much about those dives and having to live both the soft, the destruction, and the hard dive that comes out from the Vanguards.
Yeah, a lot more safety, a bit more room to breathe for this backline as we stay in the intergalactic empire of Wakanda. From Birnin to T'Challa to the Hall of Jalia, we're going all the way around the intergalactic empire.
Oh, what compositions is it going to be? We can already start to see that these teams, like on the defense, they know how strong having one-sided any resource within the first fight without having to need to build up to it can be incredibly valuable. So the fact that Na'Vi were able to get an Adam Warlock through the ban and have Soulbind is going to be a problem for Insomnia to have to deal with this. We can see Twitzy start to just break down some of these bridges so that Na'Vi have a little bit of a harder time rotating. But with Trust Me already on that Doctor Strange, they've rotated and immediately jumped onto the back line. Insomnia have to drop and give space.
I mean, this makes a lot of sense. You think that Insomnia are playing to be weak against the amount of fast damage coming through. That's why they banned both Venom and the Captain America. So why not just skip the dishes and go straight to the main course by TPing on top of them? And Insomnia seem to have been caught with their pants down here by this dive. They've disengaged back towards the attacker spawn and still accruing point percentage here as Nocta prepares for TP.
So the problem for Insomnia was they lost Emma first, which meant that there was nothing stopping Na'Vi from just rushing upon them with one-sided Soulbind, as Jerky just manages to find all of the follow-up onto any grab that Rajaro has been able to grab with that Carbon Crush, and Na'Vi, record timing, have been able to pick up first objective, already moving into second. And because it was so one-sided, Insomnia have to make sure that they don't lose Nocta to a late stagger, because that Ultron going up against the Star-Lord, Star-Lord's always going to have the advantage in the 1v1.
Especially knowing that Star-Lord probably has the flake from the Luna as well. Level 1 Crook's going to be pumping out that healing, especially when Trust Me is going to be up here just doing a lot of tanking use of a Cloak of Levitation to force Twitzy off of this high ground, putting him in a corner as well, but this engagement has to be called by Na'Vi as the damage taken is too great.
Still, the players have been stacked enough, which means that Endsong Inferno is going to be up. The problem for Insomnia is that Feast of the Abyss isn't actually available just yet either. Password's going to go in and try and build it. Lion Pro utilizing the Eternal Bond, so Insomnia can play aggressively towards Navi's backline, but Fate is going to try and track down Lion Pro and grab him out of Eternal Bond with the It's Jeff afterwards.
Terror Cape, Feast of the Abyss, and the End Song is enough to break through level 1 Crook. Fate's still waiting, I believe, to bring out the ultimate. Gets taken down, resurrected straight away. Naga disengaging away, but still mind-controlled by the Sonic Seduction that's channeled by the Emma. Rajaro gets a couple in their own right here as well. 2 players dragged on him. Trust Me looking for an opening here with the Eye of Agamotto, looking towards the back line. 2 squishies taken on down. Twitzy and Lion Pro can't stand up to the Dark Maelstrom as it courses through their veins and dark magic corrupts flesh and blood alike.
That was damage and picked through Rage of Ultron as well. Nocta doesn't get CC'd by the Strange ultimate, but the rest of the team do. And even the heal per second of Rage for Ultron isn't enough. Na'Vi aren't slowing down anytime soon. Soul Bond so they can aggressively chase into Insomnia's own spawns to prevent any sort of regroup around the corner, so Insomnia can push onto the objective with something like an ultimate of the Feast of the Abyss. 6 players strong. They're gonna get second as well.
Not go too far out though. This might be a little bit too close. They can't really convert on the damage. Rajaro though just scares them all away. 100 charge on the Sonic Beam is more than enough to try and get through this as Nocta gets caught out on the other side. Roche just maintaining 100 charge, walking him down, mag dumping.
I mean, Na'Vi are just not allowing Insomnia to create any buffer between the front line and the back line at the moment. If they try and take a fight, their vanguards are going to get ran past, and we're just going to see the pressure come through onto things like the Luna and the Cloak and Dagger. As Na'Vi have been able to establish full control of third as well, Insomnia are going to have to tax an ultimate out from their side to be able to open up any sort of space.
All right, going to be Eternal Bonds trying to open up that space by force and sustainability as well. Good to see, look at Jerky over on this angle. Doesn't really have the mobility to try and get away. Can the Terra K be there? No, a quick damage boost from level 1 Crook. Heads up to make sure they can burst through that 400 HP summon in record time. Jeff, good to go, looking towards the back inside of the fog. They think that they're safe from the shark. They could not be more wrong. It's going to be Twitzy dragged inside of the maw of the shark itself. A quick grab comes through onto level 1 Crook, but the healing's more than enough, and Forever is punished for such an audacious maneuver onto the Queen Luna herself.
Cherokee going to have Karmic Revival too. Na'Vi are just going to continue looking to put pressure onto Insomnia, control these angles, the pressure onto Nocta as well, and they're just, again, not letting up any. Out comes Galactic Legend, forcing Parcelo to back away, which means that the Venom's not going to be able to find the slam onto the objective and stall Na'Vi's approach, and we go into final fight. The Adam is getting pressured, but he's getting peeled with the Eye of Agamotto.
Okay, good Carbon Crush there to try and shut down Trust Me. Should be a quick resurrection though if they do all fall over. Seems the healing's going to be enough for Terra Cape too far out. For resurrection's good though. Jerky brings them back and Passivo's already gone, so the meat isn't really here to try and contest. But the Vanguards are gone. Nocta 2. No one can make it to the point. And 3 minutes and 16 seconds remain on the clock for Na'Vi. An absolute steamroll.
So for Insomnia, yes, they're running the Phoenix. They've got the Luna. They even got the Venom too. We never really get to see the synchronization of the ultimates because Na'Vi just continue pushing. So when one player has built an ultimate, the rest of their team hasn't. And they've got to burn that ultimate just to gain any sort of footing in the fight within the space that Na'Vi controls. They have mobility, they have frontline presence, they've got poke pressure coming through from the Atom. Insomnia were never able to fully store the momentum of the attack, so never got the benefit of having the pre-angles already established for the defense.
Man, that first punch in my face just put Insomnia off kilter so hard as well. Like, they banned out the Cap and the Venom, thinking, okay, we can take a slower fight here. We can allow Twitzy to build up those sparks on the Phoenix. And suddenly, you're getting run on by the Soul Bond, as you said, just having that resource gradient of a Soul Bond and the burst mobility of the portal just was unsustainable for Insomnia to try and fight against.
Yeah, it punishes as well the absence of Loki in this matter, because previously, like, Strange Portals didn't have 100% win rate as a strategy, because you would get portaled on and you would all just have regeneration domain. Oh, hold on a minute. I see, yeah, I was gonna say, I see a Wolverine silhouette. It's likely going to be to stop a portal play if Insomnia tried to go for a portal themselves.
It's still there. I guess it's going to be returned. No, can't return on the Venom.
It's because, like, Trust Me is known for the Spider-Man strategy to try and pull people off and interrupt a portal play. I guess he went for the Wolverine this time around so that if they scouted him, he had the passive, and he's just going to be able to come back into the fight almost immediately again because he's on Angela now. And she gets so quickly back. Look, he's already there.
All right, she's already back. Looking towards the Star-Lord, wants an uneven duel for their own Star-Lord as they roll on forward, take a bunch of damage, and allow Jerky to heal up using the life stream to get close to that Cocoon Revival. Twitzy taken out in midair. The Spear of Icals pierces through the Child of Stars as Forever's going to now face the Axes of Justice laid down by Trust Me.
So this is the thing about the Angela. You can play her as counter dive against the Venom, or you can play her to go aerial dogfight mode against both the Star-Lord and that Ultron, which means, again, Insomnia are going to be desynchronized. Their win condition is not going to be fully allowed through, as Twitzy has to now rely on the Ultron drone and try and go all the way around the point, put pressure on the backline, and force a head pivot so the rest of his team get more space.
Trust Me going just out of range of the 5'11" Emma, as Twitzy does have a little bit of help when it comes to this door, but no, knocks us down. Ultron drone is gone. God, the hunting right here is crazy. This is where we thought Angela would be at her best, when you have these coordinated dives. And what's more coordinated than Trust Me's Na'Vi?
Yeah, and the thing is, you can also force the diamond form from the Emma earlier off of just the threat of the Assassin's Lunge coming on through from Trust Me. If the Emma gets displaced into Na'Vi's team, Forever goes down. down, which means that Diamond One gets forced and Rajara gets advantage in the Emma 1v1.
Okay, Rage of Ultron forces out the Soul Bond here, sharing out the damage as Forever's nowhere near the Eternal Bond. Isolated by Rajaro in midair. They're trying to chase down the Galactic Legend. Twitzy finally turns the element guns in the right direction. One swallow gained out here by the Jeff. Might be off the side. No, Naga has decided that Line Pro goes down to the Galactic Legend. Passo noted on the other side. Insomnia still haven't been able to grab their first tick here, despite the massive investment given on over. The tracking's good, but the sacrifice is real as Twitzy takes out Naga for the audacity of such a push.
The problem for Insomnia is going to be this next fight, because Na'Vi have Karmic Revival, and Insomnia, other than Feast of the Abyss, don't have an ultimate to be able to force it early, which means that Na'Vi are going to be able to hold on to ultimate advantage after Karmic is finished. We're going to have to see Insomnia try and build up an ultimate bank, but by doing that, they're going to open themselves up to damage in their rotations, and they're down their Star-Lord, and the Star-Lord is the damage for this team.
Yeah, the Star-Lord, the main distributor of that damage. Passuo needs to pop their symbolic resilience here, and Nox has already been forced away. The amount of hit scan pressure going the way of this Ultron is just undeniable. Forever and Rajaro exchange this primary fire, but it's all gravy for Rajaro, who has so much healing behind them. Gonna already open up with the Sonic Seduction. Can't get away right now. Noctis dragged on him. The follow-up's not going to be there. Perfectly timed Carbon Crush at the end of the ultimate. Standing ready for the incoming damage is level 1. Crook Heaven ready to fall as multiple players are dragged on into this position. It means they're going to have a lot more trouble dealing with the res.
Unfortunately for Insomnia, they had Rage of Ultron, but they all get zoned out of being able to walk off of the Angela's ultimate. So now Jerky got Karmic Revival up and stabilized the team without anyone being able to punish him. They've got Soulbite to be able to survive and go head-to-head with the sustain coming on through from Eternal Bond, and Line Pro's already been forced into running the Dark Teleportation, which means that they can come on through.
Galactic Legends at the same time. There's plenty of healing here for Naga, even while mind controlled. Oh, Fate got 2! The sacrifice has been made, and it's been well rewarded. The cost of flesh and blood, as an Eldritch God will feast upon the sacrifices made. Na'Vi lift aloft Insomnia to the sky, and they are rewarded for such Eldritch macabre horrors. Insomnia slain on first.
Line Pro had to immediately use Dark Teleportation after Eternal Bond dashes had finished because they were going so low, which meant that they didn't have the iframe to dodge the Jeff E the way that they had been able to do previously. Really good patience coming on through from Fate as well to wait for the last possible moment to use it, so that just before we head into overtime, everyone from the side of Insomnia, their hand is going to be forced in terms of objective control. Someone has to still be on the point. They have to be within line of sight of their backline too, so that they can continue surviving on said objective and overtime continues to run, which means that Fate, literally, sardines in a can.
Aura farming there. The MVP Adam Warlock, 60% accuracy, by the way. Jerky's kind of crazy on this one. Is this another priority ban that needs to happen against Na'Vi? I don't know. Seems like Fate so happy to just stick around on the Jeff that makes it through. This was, this was Insomnia's map choice to go to Hall of Jalia. And now we've got to go to Convoy. I guess it might be Araco where we go next, but Insomnia have a lot of soul searching to do going up against the world champions.
I don't think you go Araco when Trust Me was playing Angela like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
you don't want to go Araco if you're going up against things like the Angela and the Jeff. There's just too many things. Look at this as well. This happens Retribution here. Yes, you don't manage to really get the eliminations off of the back of it, but you're not looking for the eliminations. You're looking to give yourself a window to stabilize your Karmic Revival so that they don't get to chase onwards with the Rage of Ultron. And it forces then Eternal Bomb to have to be used because everyone's taking so much damage inside that Angela ultimate to get off of the point onto the point. Cloak and Dagger ultimate is going to be the cost, which makes it so easy to predict how Insomnia are going to have to play the next stage of that fight. That's the thing about Na'Vi. It's not just the ban draft that they're smart about, it's the actual fight that they're smart about too. They have such good predictions on how their opponent is going to position around them.
Yeah, just making sure that those ribbons bound everyone so that there was no real follow-up against the res, allowing everyone to get healed up on those cooldown-based heals. Great play from Na'Vi, and they are looking hot to trot here in the first match of the bracket for them. We'll find out if they can get it turned around on them on third map after this break. One map left of give here for Insomnia, and it's got to be Convoy, Mox. They don't have amazing options against the world champions, but when you're going up against Na'Vi, what is a good choice?
Yeah, Spider Island's environmental hazards with Jeff eats plenty. Yggdrasil Path, prospective triple strategist, triple Vanguard spawn hold, and Araco, one of the maps where we've seen the strongest amount of Angela being played. It's going to be a rough one, as to I think is the ban draft, because like we saw Insomnia, they went hard after Trust Me. They tried to shut down the dive, they tried to make sure that their backline would sustain so that they could play for the angle control of their duelists in those longer term fights, and then the Doctor Strange portal came on through. So we're definitely going to have to see Insomnia really decide whether or not they're going to try and ban out the dive, or if they're going to let it out and just keep a hold of resources which give them a better opportunity to live it.
All right, diving in quickly to our ban phase here. Yggdrasil Path is for choice, Mox, and this means 3-3, I imagine.
Yeah. Now, do we see a priority of the Emma? We've seen a lot of teams actually go for Emma ban immediately or Emma save the second that they possibly can because of how much value she has in being able to shut down those dive components and hold the line long enough for your front line to stabilize and your back line to not have to give up all of that space. Jeff is going to be the first ban. Does that mean that Na'Vi sees the opportunity the way they did previously and guarantee a one-sided Mantis? No, they save the Invis woman. So we're going to be seeing really quick builds of the Invis boundary off of how stacked everybody is going to be, plus having that slow effect as well when you're playing the attack and you manage to drop the ultimate on the defenders, you might be able to grab someone in and find an elimination.
Yeah, offensive use of the invisible boundary, very much underrated. IMO, yet another ban going to be going the way of Mantis. Very important to get rid of both for Jeff and the Mantis when Fate and level 1 Crook are sitting on the other side. The first protection here will give us some insight into what Insomnia want to run.
What do they want to go? They could go for Invis women here. They could go for Ultron so that they can have faster generated ultimates as well as pocket potential for Twitzy onto something like the Human Torch Star-Lord that we've seen previously. Plus, if you try and go for like your attack and you want to go for a wraparound rotation so that you're not all just playing Bruiser 6 versus 6 style on main road, the Invis isn't going to be finding all of that level of value with the Pierce abilities if she has to turn her head to deal with an off-angle fight coming on through instead. There's Na'Vi guarantee, there's no opportunity for Insomnia to get one-sided Mantis and damage boost.
Yep, one-sided Mantis certainly would be... It's been troublesome to play against no matter who has found themselves on the bad end of that throughout our run here for Ignite in EMEA. But one-sided Ultron once again going to be prioritized here by Insomnia, as Invisible Woman is going to be only available for Na'Vi.
There's going to be a lot of Guardian shielding coming on through from Na'Vi's side, because like we talked about, Invis has one of the strongest kits in neutral in the entire game. The thing that held her back from being meta before was just how bad the ultimate was, and that was the thing that got buffed. So she's had a real good glow up coming on through, viable in triple strategist lines and 2-2-2 compositions. We're going to see Insomnia get banned out of the Luna, even though they were able to secure the Atom, so their defense is going to have access to the Res, as well as Soulbind within that first fight, but we're not going to have the Luna being able to sustain the dive off of aggressively hitting her shots with the Light and Shadow Karma, and that Atom isn't going to be one-sided either.
All right. Resurrections for everybody, second chances. Maybe we see a strange ban here from Insomnia to try and stop a portal recontest from Na'Vi. As there may be a world... Oh, okay, Emma ban. This is good for something like a Groot, something like a Wolverine.
All the difference.
It's good news as well for Passover if he wants to play something like the Cap or the Venom. Although Na'Vi didn't have Trust Me target focus the way that we saw in Holo Dejalia, he has his absolute picks when it comes to any Vanguard that he so chooses. Insomnia going to be on the docket for defense first of all, and we're going to be seeing a full stall composition. Rocket, Loki, Adam. Get ready for the Karmic Revival Echo Chamber. If they're able to stall the fight long enough and not lose the first, to have Karmic Revival not just cast once, but twice.
Prepare for the most uncastable fight in history. Yggdrasil path awaits and Oblivion faces Insomnia here. The winner's bracket run could end prematurely, going up against the world champions and against Match Point.
Yeah, Insomnia already going to be putting that BRB as well very far away from any flank rotations that Na'Vi could take. Now we have to see whether or not Line Pro is going to get picked, as getting the rocket elimination means that the BRB crumbles alongside him too. And it is going to all be about the stall. They can't immediately fold before the ultimates are up in play.
All right, Crisis opening up here on the Storm to give damage boost over to all and sundry, as they're all going to be feeling that little bit of additional damage coming through. A Carbon Crush made early. Easy usage of the E there to break through the regeneration domains and forever. That means there's not enough cushion behind them to try and deal with all this pushing that's coming on through. But the first phase of the BRB relay has started as the Groot is returned and Nocted elects not to resurrect themselves.
Forever gets picked. I mean, Rajara has actually been doing an amazing job on this Doctor Strange, going past one Vanguard and then shield blocking them so that the Loki and the Atom can't actually find the heal off of the back of it because it interferes within the LOS. As we can hear the portal come through from Twitzy, Insomnia will be able to put themselves onto the high ground. Forever now going to be over towards that Emma, looking to put the pressure onto Na'Vi if they hold a little bit too close. But we've got the Wombo ready, Harry. That's going to be Hand of Conchu into Strangling Prison if Insomnia don't block it.
Greens have already been used as well. You can notice Loki on the other side. Conchu sends his regards, and they are not gladly received here by Insomnia. Line Pro sent out the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier, but don't know if that one's going to be entirely too valuable. Relaxing Sky, the last to Fallen. Line Pro's actually a hostage in the back right now. This is, did win the 1v1. You show them, Line Pro. You show them.
Unfortunately for Insomnia, though, they're off of the composition that they wanted to be able to stall because they didn't manage to stall long enough for the ult cycle. We didn't get the Loki, we didn't get the Atom having their ultimates online in time. And over to the Psylocke we go. And just immediately gets picked by the counter. Crisis is on the Storm, but finds the pick onto Twitzy, which means that the Storm is entirely uncontested currently.
Yeah, instantly matching them, Psylocke versus Psylocke, so Twitzy is going to find these angles a little bit harder to control, given that there might well be a damage boost on the opposing Psylocke that they thought they got rid of with these Mantis.
It's going to have Eternal Bond here to be able to dodge the Emma ultimate if they need it, or they're just going to use the Storm to be able to stop Insomnia from walking forward off of the back of it.
Oh, they're slowed inside of the invisible boundary, so escaping the Omega Hurricane is not really on the cards, but sustaining through it could be worthwhile. Rajaro up to the skies, Eternal Bond, CC immunity given over there. Heads up play coming through from the side of Relaxing Sky. Rajaro isolated inside of the dance, where Butterflies can't stand up to the damage of thousand-folded Shinobi Steel, and Na'Vi are scuppered.
Okay, Insomnia stole the momentum, but look at what Crisis has done. He's swapped over to the Winter Soldier. He's seen that Lion Pro is on the Loki. He knows he's going to be able to get resets off of the Doppelgangers. Insomnia do have dive potential. They've got both the Venom, the Star-Lord, and that Psylocke, but they don't have a mag, they don't have a Luna, and they don't have an Invis to be able to stagger the shield, which means that their dive is going to be very vulnerable when it comes to the brawl, and that's immediately going to be Jerky getting the better of Twitzy.
Dropping down into the Eternal Bond, sustained through the damage that was offered out by the Galactic Legend. Forever finds himself caught out right here and diving into the midst of the enemy team as Pasuo pops the Symbiotic Resilience, yes, but going up against Rotter Stone. Was that an interrupt there? No, Pasuo just getting grabbed out of midair and gunned down.
Note as well, they're letting Crisis get all of the damage onto Pasuo so that he can both crack and impact and have it up and available to play with the Strangling Prison when Insomnia have no choice but to go to the objective.
Has to be an Eternal Bond through the gap. It's already been sealed behind, though, by the Ironwood Wall. The remainder of the team, they decide not to break on through. Instead, they just flick around elsewhere. Jerky's fallen down to Twitzy, maybe 2v1, thanks to some incoming healing. Great follow-through onto Rajaro, but now it's time for Crisis to feast. Reset after reset is ready to go. The Loki's bring up for regeneration domains, but once again, and again, Crisis's roar echoes throughout the hallowed halls of Asgard as the Yggdrasil path is walked readily Navi by the Winter Soldier, and Tooth Gnasher and Tooth Grinder find their goal of completing B.
Does Lime Pro survive? He lived long enough with Tifa's exchange to get another regen domain, but unfortunately, I think he just staggered himself now. As Insomnia are going to be down at Vanguard, down at Loki, which means no doppelgangers to soak the dashes. Oh my goodness, Na'Vi sends blood in the water and immediately gather like piranhas. They're still picking them apart. Lime Pro had to go onto the rocket to try and bring Passalo back with the BOB in time because he had feasted the abyss.
Maybe not working out here. Trust me, Reed, to seal up this doorway as well. Oh, the portal trap. It's going to be nasty. I don't think there's any way for Noctis to escape. He's just over on the other side. Jerky's there to catch. And, well, this is going to make recontesting quite the pain.
Well, Noctis at least is back off of the rocket BRB, but that means that you used it now instead of in the fight when we get to the 6 versus 6. Insomnia, the second of those portals do fall, do have that Sonic Seduction of Forever to open up that space, which means that the first they have to break the Doctor Strange shield before they can move in.
Well, the damage has been done as it's releasing Sky towards the back, bringing up the shield of the Seraphim to try and block off multiple players. That's 4 mines controlled here by Forever. However, inside of the invisible boundary, the healing's good. Noct has been fallen down. Ensong and Fender can't even hit the ground as Fate has already been well prepared for this one. That's a quick use of a Terror Cape to make sure the Loki's run scared and roughshod elsewhere. Forever overwhelmed. Jerky, yes, oh, this is quite ambitious. Into the spawn, Rajaro knew the tendrils of the Eye of Agamotto would just burrow into Insomnia. A quick copy coming through from Lion Pro means that there's an eternal bomb to try and sustain through all of this. And up above it all, inside of a Dagger Storm, Nocta can't get there in time to keep this one contested. Has to make a mad dash for health pack instead. Forever's turned up on the Wolverine, trying to shut down this group. If they go out too far, can't quite connect when it comes to the damage. The damage is just pouring from Na'Vi. Born to win once again and born to dominate. Insomnia can't even get close to the card. It's just a completion for Na'Vi.
Insomnia lost the Eternal Bond so quickly too. There's no other target for Na'Vi to try and turn at. There's a Galactic Legend sounding off on the outside, but they know that if they get the Cloak and Dagger, all of that sustainability on the objective itself goes out of the window. Plus, they don't have to worry about the blind managing to push up those breakpoints and allow the Galactic Legend to actually find the pick. Insomnia tried to draft for a better defense and got absolutely steamrolled within the first opening engagement, so they didn't get to use any of their ultimates and were on the back foot ever since. Every single time Na'Vi was able to open the fight up with a pick, they just kept pressing and pressing and pressing, and Insomnia were never able to stall them out with just giving up too much space.
Just never able to stabilize. Stability is such a commodity, and sometimes you have to spend big to get it. But Na'Vi, they were never really feeling that pressure. Feeling that they could use that Pentagram of Feral of a Strange Portal to block off the spawns, deploying the ranked strats. Unreal.
Well, they're going to be deploying a fastball special, it looks like, as we can see that it is going to be Wolverine and the Thing coming on through from Na'Vi's side of this defense. Does mean that things like that Groot is going to find value against the Thing, but get absolutely shredded by the Wolverine. So, silver linings, and potentially some tin ones too, as Forever's been able to find the pickup onto Jerky.
Oh, nice mid. I think that was a Mad Cannon coming through from Rajaro to peel that one out. Any displacement onto the Wolverine will interrupt the Feral Leap, so great right click.
Wait, there's no storm. Insomnia don't have the storm for the damage boost. Nocta's on the Moon Knight, but he's not really gaining all that much ultimate charge the way that you would expect to see. He's only 72% to that first ultimate, and Na'Vi are going to be able to position themselves around it.
Rajaro just happily plinking away with Iron Volley after Iron Volley. 3 Vanguards in close proximity. 5 feet apart so that Khonshu doesn't accuse him of heinous. Khonshu can't get too much off the back of the hand right here. Big damage in the corner. The emergency triage has to be deployed in the form of the Rage of Ultron, and it will save one but not save another.
That's all of the space that Hand of Khonshu bought. Trying to split the Vanguards from the backline has now been eroded by the invisible boundary. It does mean that Strangling Prison can come on through. Oh my goodness! Na'Vi still managed to sustain the amount of healing coming on through from triple strategist, as well as that Guardian Shield AoE that level 1 Crook was able to put in front of the team, was absolutely insane.
Unreal. Trust me, ready to go with a clobbering time. Question is, have Insomnia check their watches here. A Cosmic Yarn Amplifier could mean a lot of damage coming through from an Insong Inferno as Passo isolated here. I don't know if he's even going to be able to escape. He's going to have to go deeper. Nocta on the Black Panther, of all things. Here comes the Insong Inferno. Piloted down. However, the right click from a Cloak and Dagger deals with it readily. One player grabbed inside of the Strangling Prison. I think it was just Relaxing Sky. Lime Pro brings out the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier to give some overshields, but the damage is just too much to bear. Insomnia, they can't break through the line.
And Insomnia using the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier to deal with the Strangling Prison damage means that it's not going to be that to damage boost the Venom's ultimate. So Insomnia are going to have to actually commit to over the top of it if they want to be able to find the eliminations off of the back of it. Level 1 Crook has gone down though with that Invis Boundary up, and now Nocta unchecks in the backline, gets to start finding those spinning kick dash resets.
Crisis Res could go crazy here for the Black Panther, but no, Crisis is down again. Nocta making sure there's no chances. What a dodge from Twitzy. Knowing the clobbering time was coming with a stun, just goes up into the Phoenix form itself, and Insomnia finally have the cart rolling.
Best Descent is going to be up. Can Na'Vi manage to find that strange portal? No, they're not even going to go for it. It's just going to be out now onto that Venom. Trust me, looking to swing back onto the objective and force Insomnia to have to burn the Emma ultimate.
Twitzy just taxing the approach here of level 1 Crook. An opening coming through from the side of Forever. They've already got, trust me, he can't pop the E while mind controlled, and that means one less Venom to play with. Rajaro takes to the skies. Audible screams of Nocta as the Black Panther is crushed underneath the spicy meatballs of Magneto. A quick resurrection courtesy of the BRB, and the cat's back in the bag, dragging in multiple players here with the Strangling Prison, but the healing's already been released from Relaxing Sky, who used the Eternal Bond.
Oh, Na'Vi, I was going to say, there's no way they're going to be able to make that strange portal in time. Crisis has to go off of that Doctor Strange over towards the Phoenix. Trust me, he's going to actually go over to the Captain America too, because we're going to see a full comp swap. So trust me, wanted to maybe go for that Cap with a Psylocke and go for a dive to put pressure onto the backline of Insomnia, or play counter when Passivo tries to drop one through, but instead it's going to be the Winter Soldier with the new Earthbound against things like the Venom and that Panther as Jerky. Oh my goodness, the animation cancels coming on through from that Phoenix, and Nocta, one of his 9 lives burnt immediately.
Forces Passo to have to use their ultimate just to try and survive that one. Very little HP remains, but getting out with just a little bit of additional HP up close and personal between Twitzy and Jerky. A quick bank Tokyo Drift perhaps, but no impact is made. Relaxing Skies dragged on forth by level 1 Crook, and Na'Vi have repurchased their stability.
So Twitzy was able to use the Insong Inferno for both the full heal, but also forcing Fate into having to use that Eternal Bond, which now means that the Cloak and Dagger doesn't have the CC immunity against Forever's ultimate. So Insomnia, if they can get on top of Na'Vi with that ultimate, are going to have a good opportunity, given the fact that Nocta as well has moved over to the Punisher to be able to melt through these Groot walls. What they need, though, is a Strategist ultimate, because we've got Strangling Prison and Kraken Impact coming up, and Insomnia so far have nothing to deal with it.
Nocta hanging out around the edge, ready to lay on into players with the assault rifle. Trust me, doesn't seem aware just yet. A quick jump up into the sky. Great angles here for the Emma Frost, but it seems like the Guardian Shield was more than enough. They escape with their minds. The pretty lady, they're immune to the charms. And it seems like it's going to be a big focus in here onto Forever. Just getting a quick reset towards the back. There was an attempt at some marauding on that back line, but Forever's not rewarded for it.
Yeah, so Insomnia try to go aggressive with the rocket pack so that Emma could get to that back line, and Nocta would be able to put pressure onto both the Invis and the Cloak and Dagger, allowing Insomnia to walk up forward, because Crisis on the Winter Soldier would have to peel for his backline rather than looking for the Strangling Prison combo. Doesn't work out, and now that they don't have that Emma ultimate to open things up, Na'Vi are outside that doorstep, taxing every single bit of approach. Nocta swapped over to the Winter Soldier to try and get as much tainted voltage connections onto the stacked bodies as he possibly can. Will have Kraken Impact, but Relaxing Sky is the one that has to open up these fights, and Na'Vi just equalize the heal sustain with Invis Boundary.
Eternal Bonds drawn on out, and Rashara doesn't even seem bothered. Nonplussed about the approach of the Cloak and Dagger, looking towards Nocturne. A direct hit onto the Winter Soldier. Winter has come, and Winter's ended real quick, getting through the CEO in record time. Crisis just carves through the legacy that Rocket Raccoon thought they could leave behind. 11 seconds remain on the clock here for Insomnia, but they don't have the manpower, they don't have the health.
Also, at least is able to get out, which means that he might be able to come back through and tap the objective, but no! Jaro picks him mid-swing, and Na'Vi sweep 3-0 the series. Oh my goodness. The problem for Insomnia, especially in the second to last fight where they had that Eternal Bond, and like everyone's trying to play off of the back of it, Eternal Bond used to scupper Invis Boundary, right? Because you would have an Invis Boundary, your Cloak would use their ultimate, they'd use it to invade into the Invis Boundary, they'd turn it around, they'd hit everyone Terrorcape. The problem now for the teams with the Cloak and Dagger is that since that slow effect has been amped up on the Invis Boundary, when Eternal Bond comes through, no one wants to go inside the Invis Boundary because the slow is so huge that there's very little guarantee that you can actually make it to your Cloak and Dagger to play off of the back of that blind.
Yeah, if you get pushed out of the like area of effect as well of the Eternal Bond inside the invisible boundary, your odds of getting back into it are quite low with the eternal slow that is inflicted on everyone on the enemy team who is inside of this. It was nice seeing the Psylocke versus the Psylocke, but in the end, Na'Vi just seemed like they had better fight planning when it came to these engagements. I was particularly noting how like Rajaro saw the Cloak and Dagger ultimate come on through, didn't bother to pop the meteor. I was like, nah, that ain't my game, bro.
Like, that's the thing. Na'Vi, their fight planning, trust me, in level 1 Crook are so good at being able to keep the team in terms of what they need resource allocation wise, that we very rarely actually see Na'Vi overcommit with resources. So they're very, very strong at punishing the mistakes and pressure situations that their opponent is forced into when it comes to overcommitting. Like we saw with Insomnia, right? Rocket Pack, Emma ultimate to try and get Nocturne into the back line and put pressure onto the strategists, in turn forcing a full peel pivot of attention so that Insomnia could walk through unchecked from main onto the objective and start putting pressure for that situation. But immediately, because of the positioning that those players had to have, with the Emma being in the backline instead, everyone from Na'Vi just understands, well, we can have our Winter Soldier peel, but we can send our Venom into the backline and stop you from even walking where you want to either. So it really was like 1 step forward, 2 steps back constantly on the attack coming on through from Insomnia.
Now, speaking of Winter Soldiers, also worth noting that Crisis did get brought in for this game in place of Naga. Playing with Jerky and Crisis really showing off the roster depth that they have gained after losing Melio to Citadel. And a lot of our top teams here in EMEA now are running these 7-person rosters with the 3 duelists to give a lot of additional depth to the overall hero pools. We've got an interview ready to go. I believe Jerky's on the other end of the line.
Yeah, hello.
Hey, Bo, what you got on your nose?
It's a breathing strip, makes me breathe better.
Oh, nice. High oxygen flow for my gamer.
Exactly.
So we see a lot of the time these teams with triple duelist compositions having to rotate around. Do you find it easier to play with Naga, or do you find it easier to play with Crisis, given the fact that you played previously on Low 9?
I think both of them are top tier players, right? Obviously, that's obvious. But I think, it just has to be Crisis, right? I have more experience with Crisis. I think that's the sole reason. I think they're both great players, and me and Naga understand each other very well. But I think Crisis and I just click. Yeah.
Oh, what happened today with you guys that made it so much cleaner than what happened against VP? We didn't really get to have a debrief with you guys from the match against Virtus Pro at the end of our group stage. What went wrong against VP, and how did you guys improve?
Honestly, we were just testing out comps against VP. We just wanted to see how it compares against a really good team, and I don't think it worked that well, and I think that's the only reason we lost. I'm not scared to face them again when we are playing for real this time.
So today, actually, with you playing the Magic on Burn into Shell was the second time that we got to see Magic. How viable do you think she is in the current meta, especially with the new team up with Doctor Strange?
I mean, I think Magic is that pick that you just pull out of nowhere and everyone is like surprised. Whoa, what is that hero? Why is the Magic coming at me? And I think that's the surprise factor. That's what makes her a bit stronger as well. But I think she's really good into triple supports. That's our niche little take, maybe. Who knows? We have been trying it out and it's working decently well, I would say.
How many hours do you think you have on Magic? Because after Araco, the first time you guys beat VP, we interviewed you. We asked about the Magic. You said like, "Oh, this is like one of the first times I've played her." Have you been grinding it out? You're like, okay, she's kind of got hands.
I mean, I have like 60 games on her. I don't think it's that much. I have. Trust me, was like, Jerky, I think you need to practice a little bit of Magic. I want to try her in scrims. And I was like, okay, say less. I went into ranked on my main account. Maybe ruined some players' games because I was first timing a hero, but I mean, yeah, that's what it takes. I think I have like 10, 12 hours on her, yeah.
I'll remind you of that if you flame me in ranked.
Yeah, on the Thor, I know. I already know.
Speaking about ruining, let's talk about that spawn hole breaking, because Insomnia were coming in with Adam, Rocket, and Loki. And you guys were able to sweep them before we even got to see the first Comic Revival cast. Obviously, you don't have to give away all of the secret sauce, but why did you think it was actually so quick that you were able to break the spawn hold before those ultimate cycles kicked in?
I mean, we kind of have the general spawn break comp, Moon Knight, Storm, Groot, Emma, right? Everyone knows that. And I think we just target prioritized very well. I think this was more of a team skill issue, not really a comp issue for them. I don't want to sound mean, but I don't think we should have been able to break it that fast against that comp. So they probably have to work a little bit on that. I don't think we did anything special. We just focused the targets as we always do, and they just worked. They let the vanguards down, and yeah, that's basically all. I don't think it's a strat that we did necessarily.
Okay, thank you so much for your insight, Jerky. We look forward to seeing your next matchup. It is probably going to be a toughie up against Citadel. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you for that one.
No problem. Bye-bye.
All right, Magic Maker Jerky from Na'Vi coming in saying, hey, do you want to see Insomnia disappear? It's just this simple, Mox.
Well, we'll have to see